and but this was supposed to be a ride, but since we couldn't get the network up there in the hills, so we thought better do it out here in the showroom. This is KTM 6 Mile. Thanks to Daniel Dole, he let us come here and just do this video. So basically what we're going to do is we have two bikes in front of me, and we'll be comparing them head to head. We were planning to do this on the road, but it didn't seem safe, and moreover we didn't have the network out there. So we are here now, and let me give you a quick view. So these are the two bikes, and Shashank, he'll be starting with them. So this is KTM 6 Mile. These are the bikes. The 2015 RC390 and 2017 RC390. Well, they both look same apart from the color scheme, but there's a lot to differentiate. Well, we've been riding this for quite a time now. The 2015 model we've been riding for more than 2 years, and this model that was launched earlier this year, it's been almost 6 months we've been riding this. So Shashank will start with the explanation, and let me just give the camera to Noj.
So hey guys, very good afternoon, and how are you all? So we are here today with two bikes which are called KTM RC390. This is the 2017 model. Here we've got the 2015 model. Now it belongs to the same company. They've got the same figures, like they're both 373 cc's with 43.5 PS of torque at 9,000 RPM and having a horsepower of 36 Newton meters at 7,000 RPM. But the power band and almost everything about the both bikes are totally different. Starting off with the brakes. Now, there's been a major change in the brakes. Well, on this one, the master cylinder was a little bit smaller, the rotors were smaller, the brake pads were not sintered, and which made the braking a little bit having a wooden feel. Now, wooden feel means you won't feel what's going on with the brakes. When you start to press it, you feel like you're not braking enough, and then suddenly the front wheel will start to lock. That's when the ABS would kick in, and ultimately you won't have that braking power, which is totally different on this model. On this model, when we come up to it, it's got quite a good feedback to the lever with axial brakes, with axial master cylinders. This is the first time that I've tried braking on this bike, and it feels totally like a super bike rather than any other bike.
This comes with 30mm push rod, so that's bigger compared to that bike, and this helps in the bite as well as the rotors. Those are now 320 mm, and the 2015 has 300 mm, so that's a big change, and that has a lot for the braking. Apart from the braking, the levers are now adjustable. The camera. You guys already know this, that it's adjustable, but the thing with this adjustable is that the lever is shaped in such a way you'll get your fingers properly, nicely tucked inside this bend, whereas in the older model the lever was just like a Pulsar or any other Bajaj brand lever. But now KTM has done a good job, like improving this lever shape. Then we have the adjustable clutch lever. It's the same thing. It's adjustable according to your finger length. And the rotors especially, it's not just the size of the rotors. There's a difference in the rotor as well. The holes you can see out here and the holes you can see out here. This patch out here, this hole, it's quite smaller compared to this one. So in this new model, you get a better ventilation, and the brake tends to fade away less because the heat is ventilated well, and the bike stays intact.
Now next up, we're coming to the ground clearance on the bike and the problem of the belly pan scraping. Now that's a big problem, big complaint that we used to have even we as customers and a lot of other review artists which did it, we had a lot of problem with the belly band scraping. Now whenever we go hot into corners, we would face this problem that our belly band would start scraping on this one. Now it would scrape exactly here, exactly on this part. Now you can see, if you close here, you can see there are a few scrapes. Now this is because of the wider belly pan, whereas this problem has been solved on this model. I'll show you why. With the side mounted exhaust, now the belly pan has become narrower and it's got a leaner shape, which the exact ground clearance on this bike is 178.5 millimeters, which is the same on that bike, but because of the different shape of the belly pan, now we don't have the scraping anymore. Now coming to the throttle transition and the smoother, which we have KTM has smoothed it out on the newer model. Now why is it so? Why is the throttle transition very different on both the models? You feel like you're riding a very rough engine when you're riding the old bike, whereas you feel like riding a very smooth engine, almost like a twin cylinder when it comes to the new bike. Why is it so? Why is the fueling so accurate on this bike? It's mostly because of two reasons. Firstly, the ECU, which has a totally different mapping than the older one, and secondly, it's because of the ride-by-wire throttle. Now this ride-by-wire throttle basically means that we don't have throttle cables to control the throttle anymore. It's done via wires and sensors. So it has smoothed out the entire thing. Coming to the exhaust now. Now if you see, this one's got a underbelly exhaust. Plus point of this was, well, it chunked out more power. Whereas coming to the new bike, this exhaust really looks good. Really looks very neat, very tidy. It's positioned in such a way it looks more like a Ninja. Also the sound is more throatier and more gruntier, but there are certain negative points to it, which personally I have felt when I've raced this bike on track. I've taken it for a track day and I found that the power on top was a little bit choking. That's because of the bigger catalytic converter, or CAT that we call it. It's because of this Euro 4 emission norms. I mean, it's for the greater good, I know. But for a hardcore track junkie or someone who keeps on riding this on the track, who needs maximum power, will feel some problems. Now that can always be sorted out if we put on a full system aftermarket exhaust, firstly. But then again, the fueling has to be spot on. So we have to change the ECU, or we have to get a piggyback ECU, like maybe the Powertronic or maybe a Power Honda 5. Okay, so coming up to the next point will be the heat management on these bikes, heat distribution.
Okay, so basically both bikes, they tend to generate a lot of heat, be it in traffic or be it in regular commuting. But this bike tends to dissipate the heat better than this bike because of the fan, and it's placed in such a way that the heat tends to move out away from the legs. Whereas earlier this bike, whenever we take the bike to in the traffic, the heat always tends to get in the legs, and it felt very hot. The temperature, engine temperature remains almost the same, like just a few numbers here and there, but the heat dissipation is very good in this bike, which is why we don't feel the heat. Coming to the handlebars, most of them will notice that the handlebars, the clip-ons are quite different. These handlebars are almost an inch or maybe more wider compared to this. What helps in this handlebar is that you get a better cornering experience. You get to go more aggressive, and it helps you keep the bike planted even under hard braking, because the wider you keep your hands, the stabler the bike. Coming to the next problem, this bike used to have a problem of stalling earlier. It had a very jerky throttle, and the throttle didn't feel quite smooth. This bike has a smoother throttle, but this bike has a problem of giving a lot of false neutrals. Suppose you're in 5th gear, 6th gear, and you like downshift 2-3 gears at a time and just release the clutch. What happens is you get false neutrals, just like a Bajaj Pulsar or any other Bajaj bike. I don't know why there is this problem, but this needs to be sorted out by the KTM engineers. And other than that, everything's quite spot on. Even the fueling or the braking, the suspension, everything's fine.
Now we have to talk about the slipper clutch, PASC slipper clutch. Now it is a big step forward in the racing world as well as for normal riding world that KTM has introduced a slipper clutch on this model. I mean, it was already introduced in 2016, but then this model has, like, totally we can use it on the track better than the older model because of the power factor. But there is got a few issues as well. What happens, this is from my personal experience that I found, that when we go into corners pretty hard and then we do a few aggressive downshifts, like say when we're racing on Perth International, we're downshifting, on the long straight we're touching around speeds of 160, 155 to 160. And then to the end of the corner we have to downshift 3 gears to get into turn 4. Now when we do that, what happens is that there are false neutrals. If you continuously downshift for 2-3 gears, there are false neutrals. Now this problem wasn't seen on the older model. I don't understand why. Is it because of the slipper clutch? Is it because of the gearbox? Or I don't know, the entire management that this false neutrals is happening. But it's not safe. It's not safe for a rider on street. It's not safe for a rider on track to have false neutrals like this. Apart from that, one good thing about this bike is that the stalling issues which we were having, which we were facing on the previous models of KTM till the 2016 model has been totally removed now. All thanks to the KTM engineers, hats off to them. So that's a good thing. Another point I would like to justify here is that, come closer, I'll show you this. So the seats, the rear seats on these bikes, I'll show you. This is the 2015 model. So the seat is quite hard, making pillion sitting very uncomfortable. Okay. Now coming to this seat is quite soft. It's like a new cushion added on top of it, which makes it so soft that now pillion riding will be quite easier rather than the previous one. Okay. So now I'll show you the suspensions, the shock absorbers, the front shocks. Now these are separate function forks. One is for compression, another leg is for rebound, which was not there on the previous one, and these are bigger forks also. Now the good thing about these is that it makes the corner entry so much more precise, because you can brake later, you can brake harder, and you can go much more hotter into a turn, which is actually quite good. So nothing has to be done to these shocks, but for some aggressive guys who wants to go hard into corners, now you have to work a little bit more on the rear shock. Now the problem with the rear shock is that even if you put it to the stiffest setting, the hardest setting, even then it's quite soft. It's quite soft for a track junkie, because when you lean the bike over too much, what happens is that you tend, because of the too much movement of the compression and rebound of the shock, you tend to lose grip on the rear wheel. Okay. If we change this to an aftermarket shock, say maybe an Öhlins or maybe a WP racing shock or KYB or whatever aftermarket shock, which has got adjustable preload as well as compression and rebound adjustments, this problem can be solved out. So much for suspension. Another practical thing that KTM has given on this bike. Now I'll show you the previous model. This is the previous model. Let me show you the rear view mirrors. These rear view mirrors are quite close to the bike, to the main visor. Okay, which makes its use not that practical. Whereas comparing to it, if you see the new bike, these are very wide mirrors, very wide, placed quite far from the visor. So you can actually, for a road rider, you can actually use these mirrors to see what's coming behind you, which makes it more safe and much better for day-to-day use. Now coming to the fuel economy on these bikes. The older bike, when we took it on track, didn't give us that good economy. On the highway, we got it around 25 to 28 kilometers per liter on this bike. 28 is not that bad for a 300cc bike, but then on track, we would get something around 15-16 kilometers a liter, which is not too good because we've got a tank which is small, very small. It's 9.5 liters only. Now on a 9.5 liters tank going on a track which is around 5 kilometers, we won't be able to do too many laps. Whereas on this one, the fuel economy has definitely come up. Might be because of the fueling issues that we have. I mean, the sort out of the fueling issues. So the bike consumes a lot less of petrol over the previous one. Yes, another big issue is the headlights. So Anwar, please explain them about the headlights.
Headlights, both they look identical, but the problem is this bike, it had a headlight. Now as you can see, this is the dipper. You get one headlamp on, but when you are in the upper, you have two headlamps on, like both are on. So this is quite good, but apparently in this bike, that's not the case. KTM has changed the electrical thing, and this is upper and this is dipper. So you get only either of the headlights, either it's the left one or the right one. So for upper it's this one and for dipper it's this one. You don't get both the lights on. Now next thing is the tires. Like most of them, they still think it's the same Metzeler that came in the earlier model, but it's not. This is the H rating tire. Now the thing with H rating is most will think that this has a lower speed rating, but the problem lies in the rain riding, because the older tire had better grip in rain, be it in wet conditions anywhere, but this tire doesn't have that much of a grip. It tends to slip out under hard acceleration in any corner. If you just feel the tire, you'll know that this tends to go out. And this bike, apparently this bike doesn't have a Metzeler, it has a Pirelli Rosso. So I'll not be able to show you the older tire. So that's about it. This tire, it's quite good for daily use, but for track days you have to get a separate set of tires, especially if you are very aggressive in corners.
With the tires we were saying the same thing. I mean, the H rated tires, it's basically a speed rating. So H means that you cannot cross more than 170 kilometers an hour, which is the basic speed of this bike. So like that it was good, but then coming to the compromises we make on grip. Now rain riding has become a big issue on these tires, like we just said. But apart from that, for the tourers, for the guys who like riding very softly, people doing city riding mostly or riding not that aggressively, these are perfect tires. Now for the track junkies who are really serious and who mean business, for them these tires will be the best. These are the best options. These are the Pirelli Rosso 2s. Pirelli has come up with these tires. Well, they are not that costly. They are almost at the same price of the W-rated Metzeler tires, but they tend to offer a much better grip than what Metzelers will ever do, because these are basically dry tires. Now you cannot expect to get some rain grip on these tires, never, because the channeling on these tires, it's never the same. It's not the same like Metzelers, so they don't offer that good rain grip. But yeah, in the dry, these tires are like too awesome. So yeah, so we will now make you hear both the exhaust notes on both these bikes. So yeah, I'm not.
So this is a louder bike, as most of you know. It sounds identical, but this has a softer note, and it depends on preference. Like some will like the other note, some will like this note. It depends. This is a softer note. This is not as loud as the older bike. And one good thing about this exhaust is you get a separate can and you get a separate catalytic converter and you get a separate can exhaust slip-on. So what you can do is, if you are looking for an aftermarket exhaust, you can change it from here with the bend pipe, and you won't have the flat out issues that I had in the older bike, because that bike, if you had to change exhaust, you'll have to open the entire thing, and that makes the bike flat out.
Yeah, guys. So that's basically it. That's basically what we have to say everything about the KTM. Now, coming to the most important question: is the 2017 model a better bike than the previous model? What do you guys say? For me, it goes two ways. It's definitely a better bike for the normal riders, normal day-to-day riders, daily commuters, people going up and down from their office, people going on short rides, people going on recreational rides. But for a hardcore track junkie, no, because the power burn on this bike is very low at the top end. There's a lot of top end power loss. This bike doesn't do a top speed above 159, 160 on the main straight of the Good International Circuit. Whereas taking my hands on this bike, I got a top speed of 179 flat out.
That is rev limiter.
That's rev limiter. Okay, so these issues need to be sorted out by KTM. We might just give it a shot, which I'm going to do it on my bike. I'm going to put a full system exhaust. I'm going to put a race ECU and try going full pace on the bike. Let's see what happens with that. So I will definitely update you guys on that one. And apart from that, yeah, so anything if you have to ask, please type in your questions. We will be live for another 10 minutes, so we'll be able to answer anything that you want. Sunil, yeah, like I said, there are a lot of technical changes on both these bikes, and we've mentioned them all. Basically, there's a lot of upgrade in electronics, there's a lot of upgrade in the lighting system, the handlebars are wider, we've got better brakes, better suspension, better seat, better heat dissipation on the radiator. So yeah, sound, we are very sorry about the sound because we are in a showroom and the sound echoes here, so we're very sorry about that. Disc surface area, yes, Sunil, definitely the disc surface area is more on the newer one with a better ventilation on the disc, causing lesser heat on the brake pads, which makes the brake fade less. So what else do you want? Mosarov coolant system. Coolant system is a little bit different than the previous one because this radiator tends to run more, so you have to get used to the fan sound all the time, especially in the city. But then yeah, the cooling is a little bit better and the bike doesn't overheat that much. Yeah, does it have ABS? Darshan Aradhya, yes, it does have ABS, but then it can be switched off. It can be switched off just like on the older model. So you can take it off and bring it on again for road riding, take it off on the track. Krishna, what's the top speed of both the bikes? The top speed on this bike is 179. As you all know, I mean, it's quite famous for doing good top speeds very soon. The top speed on this bike is not yet quite confirmed because, well, we had some issues on my bike. Only after 1,000 kilometers, my throttle position sensor was not working well, and my throttle actuator also had a malfunction. So on the Bud, I got a top speed of around 155 or to 160. So which we'll work on later. Hopefully we can rectify it with all the mods that I'm going to do. I'm going to show you all anyway when we do the mods. So touring. Okay, Zafir from Shillong. Hi Zafir. Well, for touring on these bikes, this is a very good touring bike as well. Well, if you can go touring on it, because you've got wider handlebars, you've got a better seat. Now the seats on this one are very soft. Much softer compared to the other one. Much softer.
Okay, quick tip, okay, for the tourers. Now, most of them, they don't know this thing. What you can do is, if you are a very hardcore tourer who does, like say, 1500, 2000 kilometers, what you can do with the bike is, this is a very aggressive position, okay. So what you can do is, you can change the handlebar. This T-plate out here, the upper T, you can replace it with a Duke T-plate. So once you fit the Duke T-plate, you can install a Duke handlebar. And once you get that, you get the upright position of the bike and you can tour it for more distances than a Duke because the seat is quite bigger compared to a Duke and it's more comfortable overall. And apart from the handlebar, what you can do is you can even get a ride on air, I guess.
Ride on air,
Yeah,
yes.
he has a ride on air. It's a very comfortable accessory. You can get it from online. And just about it. This
Yeah,
bike is
so,
also a great tool.
Tosif asks us how comfortable is the seating posture. Well, it's almost the same as the previous bike, just with the wider handlebars you tend to have better control in the corners, and you got a softer seat which makes touring better, more comfortable. With what is the on-road price in Guwahati? Now guys, on-road price differs in every city. In Guwahati it's I'll show you guys, well, because we are in KTM 6 Mile. So the price comes to around, this is 2,55,791. This is in KTM 6 Mile, and this showroom has offered us a lot of help even in the past, and they are quite spontaneous in helping out, and they've got all the crew, all the technical know-how and everything, so it's very wise to take it from here. What is the mileage in the new one? Okay, the mileage on this one is slightly better. It offers a mileage of around 35 kilometers a liter on the highway and around 20 kilometers a liter on the track.
And that is like keeping the RPMs below 7,500 RPM.
Yes. What about the Supermoto mode? Does it come in the door? Supermoto mode, Manav Jyoti Datta, Supermoto mode comes only on the Duke 390. Now we don't have that variant yet. We have got a Duke 250 over here. So I would definitely like to show you a 390, but we don't have it over here. On the RC we don't have that Supermoto mode because basically you can either switch the ABS off entirely or you can have it on. There's no Supermoto mode on this bike. And it's of no use actually on this bike. Arshad Ahmed asks us which one is better for day-to-day use. Now definitely the new one is much better because of the heat dissipation mainly. You don't have to burn your legs all the time you travel around in the city, and the fueling is very smooth. So basically here the throttle is not jerky anymore. The on-off throttle transitions are very smooth, so it'll be best. Which one is good for stunt and for racing? For racing, well, if you do a few mods to this one, change the ECU, upgrade it with a race ECU or anything like a Powertronic or a Power Commander, properly wired to it and with a full system exhaust, and especially this rear suspension. Now you got to change the rear suspension for racing because this is so soft that you can lose your traction over good lean angles. And for stunt, over to Anwar.
Well, for stunting, this one would be my pick, mainly because I haven't tried this bike yet. It'll be good, but because it has an accelerator cable, it doesn't have a ride-by-wire, and moreover, this one doesn't have a slipper clutch. I don't know how slipper clutch will react to wheels, because some riders they have been complaining that slipper clutch tends to lag the wheel. Like the first pop-up lift, you get a lag. So I believe normal clutch is fine for stunting, and regarding the heat issues, both will tend to hit if you stunt. So it depends which bike you want to stunt on, but it's overall the same.
Okay, so next question comes in from Arshad Ahmad. Any heating problem? Well, if you're asking about the new RC390, there is no such heating problem that I faced. Like on the old bike, if I have to go for a 40-minute track session, my bike would be showing on this meter over here. My bike would be showing high coolant temperature, engine overheat, and then the bike would just get switched off automatically, and I would have to wait in the pit lanes till my bike cools down a little bit so that I can go out again. Now I didn't find any such issue on the new one because I did two good 40-minute sessions on this bike. So the heat meter was definitely in control. It went up quite a bit, yes. It was somewhere around here. So there were 2-3 places left on top. So the heat wasn't that much as I expected. I mean, with a bigger catalytic converter, I thought the heat would be more, but then the engine heat didn't come up that much also, so it was good. Any vibration issues like I have on my Dominar? Well, Zafir, there is, well, to be honest, there's zero vibration issues on this bike. It's very well engineered by the KTM engineers. It's a great work done by them, and there are no such vibration issues like we had on the last bike. Apart from that, how the slipper clutch works? Does it help in cornering? Okay, Abhinandan Bhattacharya. Slipper clutch is basically for cornering only and racing only. Now, slipper clutch makes the clutch lever very soft. That we all know. I mean, you all have felt it. The clutch lever is softer, so yeah, even your fingers will be at rest during road riding. But then, when you come to the proper use of it, it's only possible to get the maximum benefits to get out of the slipper clutch when you're on track. Now, slipper clutch is basically what happens that your clutch slips. It doesn't lock the rear wheel. When you do aggressive downshifts from, say, you're going down from the 6th gear all the way down to the 3rd gear. So on this model, what will happen is the rear wheel locks, which will create the bike to hop around in the corners. That makes the corner entry very slow. On this bike, what happens, the engine braking becomes less because the slipper clutch just slips around, and then you can just go so much more aggressive into corners with a sliding rear wheel, that is. So those of you guys who like doing a slides, yeah, this is definitely a better option. Okay, I think there's a difference between the disc brakes, isn't it? Yes, Pulokesh, there's definitely a lot of difference on both these bikes, like Anwar said it and even I said it before. This bike has got bigger rotors, better disc pads, better master cylinder. So braking on this bike is much better than the previous one. But then the issues on this bike can always be rectified, like the braking issues can be rectified. You just have to buy the entire brake assembly of the new bike and put it on the old bike. You'll have all these issues will just go away. Overall, Arshad asks us, overall, which one is better from your point of view? From a day-to-day commuter's point of view, the RC390, new RC390 will be much better. From a stunting point of view, Anwar says the old RC390 is way, way better. So for all you stunt riders, whoever is thinking of doing stunt riding now, please be safe with that, okay? Don't do it on the streets. So this older bike will be a better option. And for racing enthusiasts, obviously you've got to do a lot of mods on this one, lesser mods on that one to make it race ready. Racing wise, on stock bikes, no guys, this is not the better option. This will be the better option for a racing bike. So next, is that ABS on or off? Most of both of these bikes have got ABS, so you can either switch it off or keep it on mode. It depends on how you ride. If it's a track, better keep it off because it'll help you go that much easier into corners. It'll help you brake that much late. Manav Jyoti asks us, I don't get about the ride-by-wire function. Please explain this. Okay, so Anwar has to explain this nicely.
Basically, the ride-by-wire, what is it? You don't have a throttle cable, unlike those older models. There is a sensor out here that senses the throttle position. Right now the throttle is in 0 position. Once you start throttling, then the position changes and the sensor reads it out. This sensor, it sends the information to a servo motor that's located under the bike. Then the motor tends to increase the butterfly valve, increase and decrease the movement of butterfly valve. So that's how it works. There's no cable. It's just a sensor. This is technology brought down from the superbikes only, and it helps in the throttle on-off transition. It makes it more smooth, unlike the older bike that had a very jerky throttle. Now the throttle is very smooth, but then some will complain that the torque is missing. But it's not the torque. It's just a smoother ride that makes you feel the bike is a little less powerful. It's true that the bike has a little less power towards the top end, but the initial 0 to 60, 0 to 100 is almost the same. Just the thing is, this throttle tends to smooth out the initial pickup of the bike, and that's why it makes us think that this is a less powerful bike, but it's not. This is equally powerful compared to the old bike. Just there's a loss of a little bit of top end power.
So next question comes from Sosang Jigdong. Which is better according to your view, since I am buying a 390 soon? Which will be better for daily use?
Okay, that depends you whether you are asking about the RC390 and the Duke 390 or the older RC390 and a new RC390.
Well, since we are doing a comparison of the RC390 only, older and new one, so definitely the newer one will be a better bike for day-to-day use. Okay, so Abhishek Sen asks us, what's the best way to maintain these bikes for a very good longevity? Now, KTM engines are best maintained when you do your servicings regularly, and make sure to take your bike to the nearest service station. Well, every month, get a checkup. If it needs a service, go get it. If it doesn't need a service, they'll tell you. These engineers are very wise, they're very good people, and they're very well trained.
And don't wait for the 8,000 kilometers in the manual. Change your engine oils every 2,000 kilometers if you are a very hardcore rider.
Krishna Singh asks us, which one would you go for?
Definitely the newer one.
Yeah, Krishna, definitely the newer one. You don't ask stupid questions. Sorry, buddy. Just joking around because you're a good friend of ours. Suraj, sometimes why the bikes skid on braking? Suraj, the bike doesn't skid on braking. Well, if you use the rear brake too much, you'll just end up locking the rear wheel.
That is the ABS kicking in.
Yes, so when the ABS kicks in, the bike doesn't slide. It just it reduces the slide by opening up the brake a little bit and then locking it back again. Raktim Nath asks us, does the older version has an overheating problem when it goes to hard throttling?
Yes,
Yes, Raktim, it does. In fact, it has a lot of overheating issues, which is quite famous for KTM. Actually, this model made it very famous for KTM. Even famous stunters like Rock Beggars, no?
Yeah. Rock Beggars, even he had to switch to the RC200 because this bike tends to heat a lot. And he felt RC200 better for stun, I guess. That's why. And coming to the heat issues, this bike actually you won't feel the heat while cruising in the highway. Okay? When you're going to feel the heat is in traffic. When you're doing 20-30 Ks and you're constantly shifting gears, you're going up, you're going down, and there's like bumper to bumper traffic. And that's the time when this bike tends to get intolerable. Like it's very hot. You can, if you have been experiencing the heat, you know it what I'm talking about. Whereas in the new bike, the heat tends to go out. As you all know, this bike has a better heat dissipation, and even while when you shut down the bike, this tends to cool faster. We've noticed that bike tends to take a little longer to cool down. This bike takes a very short time to get cooled.
So the next question is, both are available in
BS4
models. No guys, this model has shut down completely now, and this is the new model, and this is a BS3 model. This is a Euro 4 or BS4 model. Well, you should definitely go for this one. Now, for enthusiasts who try to get an old bike, pick up an old bike for some stunt practice or track riding or whatever, then you can obviously pick up that bike. Otherwise, for guys who want to buy new bikes, obviously go for the newer one. It's obviously better. So next question is the fuel tank capacity the same as previous? Yes, Pulokesh, the fuel tank capacity is the same. I love the old one sound much better than the new one. Yes, Krishna, the old one obviously sounds better one. Well, from what I like the previous sound because it was louder. But then some people they don't like the previous sound because they think it's too much, and they prefer the newer one because it's much more throatier. Handlebar, Rituraj, handlebar, like we said, this has a wider handlebar, and
now, for the handlebar you can see the difference. This part, as you can see the gap out here between the clutch yoke and the T-plate, there's probably about just a 1 finger gap out here. Whereas in this bike, you can see there's about 2 fingers gap. So this is how much the KTM have extended the handlebars, and it has helped a lot. Basically, it just gets you planted and gets you better feel of the bike. I mean the front end feel.
how would I look if I pillion ride my girl? Well, Max, as you're known for it, you would definitely look very good on this bike with your girl as the pillion.
And she'll be more comfortable in this bike because of the soft seat.
See, it's got such a soft seat. See, she'll like it. She'll love it. Go for this. So Dhanjit asked us what's the on-road price of the RC200. We don't know that yet. Plus Dhanjit, if you want to know anything about KTM's, about on-road prices, getting finance for the bike or anything, please come to KTM 6 Mile. We are here in KTM 6 Mile right now, and this is a very good place, very friendly place. The people here will tend to help you very easily, and they'll get things done for you. So just come over here, you can inquire and get your bike from here. सिटी और कितना देती है प्रतीक सिटी में ये बाइक तकरीबन नई वाली बाइक आपको तकरीबन 20 किलोमीटर पर लीटर देगी, whereas हाईवे में 35. The tires, yes Robert, the tires are different. The older bike had a W-rated Metzeler tire, whereas the newer bike, well, a lot of people don't know this, but then these H-rated tires have been coming since 2016. So even on the 2016 RC390, the tires were not W-rated, but they were using H-rated tires. So yeah, the tires are different. Which one has the better braking system? Ijajur, the newer RC390 has definitely got a much better braking system than the old one. So yeah, I hope your questions are answered. Saurav asked me which one is better for daily commuting, RC390 or Duke 390. Saurav, that would obviously be taken by the Duke 390 because Duke has a better seating position, softer seats, better handling. So yeah, city-wise, Duke 390 would be better. Anwar bhai, stunt riding के लिए कैसा है?
Yeah, for stunt riding, as of now, I don't know about this new model. I'll have to try. But it seems like a good bike, potent bike, just like the earlier version. As for the power thing, the ride-by-wire and the slipper clutch, it all depends. If you're comfortable with it, you can go for it. And if you're not comfortable with it, you can go with the older bike. But it's basically, it's more over the same thing. Just the ride-by-wire, it's a little different. The throttle response will be a little different. But I don't think it's going to create any problem. It'll be the same thing.
Which handlebar is better?
Definitely the newer version handlebar because it's wider and it gives better control of the bike.
Does the older version have an engine heating problem at short interval throttling?
Yes, it does. Even in cold starts, if you keep the bike on for say 15 minutes at idle, the fan will tend to get on just after 15 minutes.
Robert, you want to know about the H and W rated tires. So well, the H rated tires has a speed rating of up to 170 kilometers an hour. 170. So the KTM, the old KTM does cross 170. The newer one doesn't yet, from what we have tested. But then you can always change them. The H rated tires will go to 170, whereas the W rated tires are meant for doing 210 kilometers an hour. So it's on the safer side. They'll be using softer compounds. So that's the basic difference. But for a track junkie, I will always suggest, I will say this again and again, that this would be your choice. The Pirelli Rosso 2 tires would be your choice. Okay guys, I think it's best for us to end this live video soon. We've already done for more than an hour, so I'm not coming to see. So for any more questions, you can always contact us. You can always contact him for any stunt riding queries. You can contact me for any racing queries that you have. Now, stop racing on the streets. We have seen a lot of mishaps, a lot of accidents of young people because of racing on the streets, stunting on the streets. So stop doing that. If you want to do it professionally, you contact either of us. We'll help you do anything that you want. And yeah, that's so much for it. Keep liking, sharing these videos.
We'll come back with a video that we were supposed to do today in the GS Road. We were supposed to do a ride video with our GoPros and like all connected to the live and all. But because of the lack of equipment, we couldn't get that done. But we promise we'll come back with a video nicely done, head to head on road. And that's about it.
So thanks guys. Next video will be coming up soon. For now, bye bye, ciao. See you later.